This is AKUDO, let the truth be told. I got vibes of grace, lighting up the dark.
Market research is typically the antecedent of marketing. It comes before. So
Really?
yeah, a lot of marketers are out there marketing, but they don't really know their audience. It's a book that really talks a bit about how you can essentially make more data-driven decisions and addresses that particular problem that I'm talking and get initial overview of what that looks like. You can just ask a prompt like, tell me the type of customers who will buy this product if I were to try and take it to the market. AI is kind of like the smartphone moment, the internet moment, all the pivotal moments that we've had over the years. Think of that on steroids, because that's what artificial intelligence is going to be able to do. Yeah, it's definitely going to be able to change the complexion of how people do business, how people show up in their job, because in some instances, it's kind of like having this super robot in your back pocket that can always guide you towards a greater efficiency.
All right, guys, this is the AKUDO experience. My name is Great AKUDO. We got a good one for you today, and I have a special guest. We're going to be talking about something that's very important in the marketplace, especially if you're a business owner, and that's market research, market insights, and things like that. And I have a professional, someone that knows everything about market research. Okay, he's going to be sharing some insights on how it can affect your business and how you can grow your business with it. Okay, so without any further ado, I would like you to welcome with me the man Thami. Thami, welcome to the pod, man. Thank you for giving us your time today.
Great. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
I'm hoping that I'm not going to bore your audience to death here today, but I think it's a fairly important thing for us to talk about. But looking forward to it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, brother. And first of all, I would like you to tell us, who is Thami? Where's Thami from? How old is Thami? Is Thami single? Things like that. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm originally from Zimbabwe.
Okay.
And yeah, I arrived in the US in 2017. Originally from Zimbabwe, moved around quite a bit growing up. My education was in South Africa. Studied a law degree in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
Studied yeah, believe it or not, I'm not even practicing law right now, so
I was gonna ask you that.
But I mean, I practiced for a little bit after I completed those studies. So I did a general humanitarian degree, law degree, got into practice. Worked a lot in mergers and acquisitions, the whole nine, and then moved to Boston in 2017 for a career change. So
from South Africa?
From South Africa, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Then I moved to Boston, bounced around, went to London for a couple of semesters, came back, moved to Dallas, Atlanta. So Atlanta is probably home for now. I've been here for about 4 years now. Recently married in November of 2024.
Wow,
so
congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So yeah, and I'm 34 at the moment. So my birthday was just in February. Had a great trip in Utah, hit the slopes and that sort of thing. So yeah.
Happy belated.
Thank you.
There you go. My man has been. So wait, let me round off a few things. So you moved from South Africa to Boston, Massachusetts, and then from Boston you moved to London, and then back to Dallas, Texas.
Then to Boston again, and then Dallas, Texas.
Oh, okay. So at least you've been to Texas, though. Okay.
I have. I've been to Houston. I've been to. I haven't been to Austin. I think that's the only place I haven't been to. But yeah, I've been to Texas a fair bit of time.
So Texas, and then to Atlanta, Georgia. So I mean, I don't want to be biased, but I bet you Dallas is better than Atlanta. Look, I'm gonna get a lot of hate on that one, man. Hey, I'm in Texas, bro. I love Texas.
I left Dallas for a reason, so I left Dallas.
Oh, you left for a reason. Oh shoot! Hey, Dallas is your fault, man. Dallas, hey, you're separate from us now. You didn't represent, but man, good to hear that.
Dallas. I still love
there you go, man. Show some love for my Dallas folks, man. Are you at least a Cowboy fan?
No, man.
Oh, damn, man. Dallas did not represent at all.
I lived in Boston, and Boston, what I didn't know about Boston coming in, I
Okay.
would read about this in preparation for travel and all that. But Boston's a big sporting city. I mean, you think
Absolutely.
about
I
Bruins, even hockey, they've
come
got
on.
the Red
Come
Sox,
on.
they've got Patriots, they've got the Celtics, which aren't looking so good right now. But
I
yeah,
mean, y'all have the Celtics, bro. So that's
defending
freaking
champs. So, you know,
that's something though. But your boy just got injured, so we don't know. We don't
yeah.
know.
Tatum's injured. Well, we'll see how it goes. I think this one is going to the Knicks. But hey, I love New York too. So
Oh, you love New York too. Oh, okay. Okay. My New York
if you
people say
notice something,
hey. Huh?
if you notice something, a lot of the cities that I love to live in, they're big metros.
Yes, yes,
London
yes.
was one. New York, I lived in New
Nothing
York
wrong with
for a
that.
little bit. I think for a short while in Bedford Stuyvesant, and then they call it Bed-Stuy, I suppose. So New York is in the room apparently like we haven't heard that in years.
Of
But
course.
anyway,
Of course.
um, yeah, I like New York, London, all the metros, Johannesburg, now in Atlanta. So I pretty much like to
You're a city
stay in the
boy.
city.
City boy
Exactly.
up. Hey, nothing wrong. Actually, I'm a city boy too, to be honest with you.
Right.
I'm not much of a country guy. My sister, though, loves the country. It's just weird how God created some of us to like certain things certain way. So my sister likes to be left alone, right? She's okay living in the boonies, man,
Right.
and
Yeah.
just secluded by herself in her home. Me, I like the interaction with people, and it's okay either or, right? Because we actually need people living there for whatever reason. So it's just the
Yeah.
way it
Yeah. I
is.
mean,
And
whatever floats your boat. You know what? What's the star sign of your
right.
sister?
My sister is a Capricorn.
Capricorn. Okay.
Capricorn. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how that would explain it, but yeah, because I'm an Aquarius myself, so
Okay, okay,
uh,
okay, okay, okay.
I love to get in touch with it's an air sign, so I like to get in touch with nature and all that kind of stuff. So
Right. My I'm a Leo. So usually Leos are very social, technically speaking, I guess. So I do like people. I like people. I like interacting with people, and I feed off the energy. So, but as you grow older and you become more, um, I'll say, maturity sets in, and you have a little bit of control of your thoughts. You tend not to be too affected with the negative people that you meet. You can still kind of moderate your own temperament, your vibe, and all that. So, but generally speaking, I feed off of people's energy, but I can now distinguish what I let to feed into me and not be affected negatively. Because if you just go by feeding off people's energy, yeah, you'll be excited when people are excited, right? But then you'll be very depressed when they are depressed. But if you're smart
yeah,
enough and you control yourself enough, you don't be affected when they're depressed. In fact, you can actually help them step up
yeah,
their notion or whatever, their vibe, right?
definitely gotta protect your energy for sure, man. I
Right.
mean,
Protect your
there's
energy.
a lot of external influences day in, day out, so trying to stay centered is always good,
Yes, sir. Yes,
always
sir.
a good thing.
I was going to ask you, so what now we're going to from there go into your expertise. So what made you not want to study law when you got to Boston?
So a lot of people might not know, but
Okay.
legally you can practice in one state without having the pass the bar for that particular
Okay.
state. So you pass the bar exam for each state, and it even gets more complicated when you factor in international
Oh, okay.
qualifications.
Okay.
So coming into the US, first of all, I had fallen in love with the law because as I started to work in mergers and acquisitions, it's always like there's a deal going on. Two companies, one company is buying this one.
Hmm.
And the work that we did was just compliance, make sure that they check the boxes before they go to the sale legally. Are they laying off people the right way? And that sort of unfortunate thing.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I already had fallen out of love with that because I was curious to find out why are they selling? What's going on? What money is being made behind the scenes? So I was always curious
Hmm.
about that. So I wanted to change careers and get into business because of that. But also, the bigger reason was because I had started a business in construction and my home country, Zimbabwe.
Hmm.
And I understood that I knew nothing about business. And so I needed to get those learnings to be able to become a better business person. So that was kind
Hmm.
of the motivation. Law was sort of something in the rear view at the time. And I was just thinking a bit more about how can I switch careers to get more into business and get that understanding. So,
Okay.
that's pretty much what maybe in another time, maybe when I'm, 6, 7 years from now,
Hmm.
40, 40 or whatever, I might have a midlife crisis and get
Then you
into
go
the
back to
legal
law.
field again. Yeah, yeah.
Come
Why
on,
not?
man. You're making law sound like it's boring or something.
I mean, shout out to all the lawyers out there, but I'd rather them than me, man. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of sleepless nights. What you might not know about lawyers is
Uh
that they
huh.
actually have a suit that they keep in the office because sometimes they might have to put an all-nighter, and
Are you
change
serious?
into, yeah, a lot of lawyers keep a suit, or they might be called into court and you need a blazer, so you can't, get into
Yeah,
court
you can
without
just dress
that.
anyhow.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You need a blazer. So a lot of lawyers keep that. It's true for consultants as well,
Okay.
always busy, man. So I,
It
I prefer
is.
the freedom of entrepreneurship.
Oh, I hate to say it, but it's better, bro. Straight up, better.
Yeah,
Have your own
definitely.
thing, run your own show, better. Always.
Way,
It's
way
hard,
better.
but it's better. Go ahead.
It's a lot of work, but I'm already tired thinking about it.
So, so it was just a choice you made. So it was possible to transition to become a lawyer here. Obviously, you have to go through a bunch of things, but you actually just made a conscious choice to go into business instead of transitioning.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So I mentioned, I studied law in South Africa, right? So South
Hmm.
Africa and the US have an agreement that um in states like California, New York. There are a few other flyover states that are relevant, but I remember the bicoastal attractiveness of New York and
California.
California is sort of, that's
Transitory.
yeah, yeah, that's what kind of like I remember as
Okay.
those states that are allowed to take in foreign graduates and sort of localize their knowledge.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. So let's get into this question. What are the biggest trend shaping market research today, and how should businesses adapt to them?
Right. I think I'll take a step back and just explain what market research is for
Please.
anyone else who might not know what it is. So essentially, market research is the process of gathering information, getting that data that you might need to make any kind of decision. So
Okay.
it could be you're asking your friends, hey, do you like this product? Are you familiar with this product? Would you buy
Hmm.
something like this if you're an entrepreneur creating something new?
Hmm.
Or mentioning your competitors in that same vein. That is a form of market research because you're getting new information.
Hmm.
Some people might do it more formally where, you're going on Google. Nowadays, people use AI, ChatGPT, and that sort of thing. So
One thousand
that's what
percent.
market research is all about. Yeah, just getting
Okay.
information to help you with your business or whatever decision that you have to make.
Okay.
Now, what are some of the trends that are influencing this right now? I mean, you said
Hmm.
100% when I mentioned AI, right? So
AI. Okay.
artificial intelligence is a huge, huge change that's happening right now in the market research space, not only because it's democratized how access to research essentially. Instead of people looking to come to a professional like myself, a lot of people are doing this
Hmm.
in-house, sort of figuring it out themselves and trying to do market research in that sense, in that way, chat GPT, deep
Right.
research,
Right.
and that sort
Right.
of thing. That would probably be the biggest one. I think another change that I'm seeing is that people are becoming more and more aware that, you can't just move to make a decision without data. So another
Okay.
trend that I'm seeing is that people are more conscientized that you need to make a data-driven decision, right?
Right.
And in
Right.
in subtle ways, it shows up whether it's in your life. Like if you know that it's gonna rain today, you're gonna dress a certain way, right? Or you're gonna carry an umbrella,
Facts.
whatever it
That's a
is, right?
very good
Yeah. So
analogy.
yeah. So that's an instance of using information to make a decision about, say, how I'm gonna appear out of the house, come out of the house. Now, why not do the same thing for major decisions that affect the bottom line of your business, right? Before you start an idea, or go executing on an idea, start a business, a lot of people skip that initial first step of market research. So, people are now more conscious about its existence, and that's an interesting trend that I'm seeing in a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'm excited about people taking up that first step, because otherwise it's like driving without a GPS or something like that.
Right. And we can't even imagine nowadays driving without GPS, bro. It's crazy. We're so
Yeah. It's so many information highways, super highways, like
hmm
everywhere, and companies are receiving a lot of information. So
hmm
definitely worth it to understand information, what it means, and then make a decision.
So you mentioned okay, obviously AI. Yes, it's crazy. So I have two-part questions from that. One is how would you compare the innovation of AI to the internet when the internet just came into being, right? The www.com era. You know how the innovation came and created everything now. How would you compare that innovation to AI? That's one part of my question. Second part of my question would be, since you're saying that people are making decisions based on data driven analysis and they do it themselves using AI, right? Does that mean that you're going to be out of job? Because I just heard that Microsoft laid off about 7,000 jobs
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they were AI, they were taken over by AI. It's crazy. So go ahead.
yeah. All interesting questions. The first question is in relation to how is that similar to the internet
Right.
moment.
How massive is
AI,
it?
it's huge. AI is kind of like the smartphone moment,
Okay.
the internet moment, all the
hmm
pivotal moments that we've had over the years. Think
hmm
of that on steroids, because that's what artificial intelligence is
Wow.
going to be able to do.
Steroids.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be able to change the complexion of how people do business, how
hmm
people show up in their job, because
hmm
in some instances it's kind of like having this super robot in your back pocket that can always guide you towards a greater efficiency.
hmm
So it's very much similar to that internet moment. The only difference I would say with artificial intelligence today is that
hmm
it's in your hands, it's in your phone, it's on your
Okay.
computer, and it's not a
Accessibility.
accessibility. It's not a
Okay.
new concept per
That's a
se,
good
but
point.
right now we can now play around with large language models, just simply because we have an interface that's more friendly. You don't need to
hmm
code or learn code for you
You
to start
don't.
using AI. You can tell it to go and code for you, and it will
One
write
thousand
code for you.
percent.
So that's the difference. Is now we're using natural language, the
Mm-hmm.
way that me and you are speaking, to
Mm-hmm.
ask it complicated questions that would have otherwise required the language of a computer, which is coding. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the distinction that is there right now. And as far as impact, I think it will very much be the game changer for wealth transfer. Because if you think about countries,
Really?
yeah, it's going to be a big game changer for wealth transfer, because
Okay.
even if you think about countries that like in Africa, for example, I'm from Zimbabwe,
Mm-hmm.
so I always have reference to a lot of African countries, and the
Mm-hmm.
issue over a long period of time, I think it might have been like 20, 30 years following the internet moment. Even today, we still have connectivity issues and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So access to the internet was a big game changer, in the sense that people
Big.
who adopted that first, yeah, they managed to essentially, um, get the first mover advantages, get closer to the finish line quicker, like, in a way that gained them well. And so
Right.
right now, people who aren't training in AI, who don't understand artificial intelligence and how it's going to change the complexion of whether it's their job or the
Mm-hmm.
surrounding
Mm-hmm.
opportunities, adjacent opportunities, those people are going to be left behind if they don't adopt
Ooh.
artificial intelligence. So yeah,
Obviously.
yeah,
Obviously.
it's
7,000
just
people are already paying the price right now. At least.
exactly. So there's that part, and then to answer your second question, as far as
Is it going to
will
replace
I
you?
be out of a job? Yeah.
Right.
Um, Fortunately for me,
Mm-hmm.
I think of AI as an enabler rather than a disruptor of obviously it's disruptive in some ways, but specifically for my work, I think that market research is going to, let me think about this in this way. AI, not just for market research, is going to be a companion, and you're going to have
Okay.
to train that companion to do the work that you used to do. So
Okay. Okay.
it's kind of thinking of it in a more practical way would be, instead of me going out to gather information across various data sources, websites, whatever the
Mm-hmm.
case may be, scraping all that information manually, AI could potentially, I mean, data scrapers were already doing this, but AI could do it in a more sophisticated way,
Mm-hmm.
to bring in that information. So I'm going to be sort of like, like training a new employee to
Okay.
do the work that I'm doing. And in that way, there's still some level of domain expertise that is required, right? You still have to know how to research. You still have to know how to do whatever AI is
How to
supposed to
interpret
instruct.
the
Yeah, how
data.
to interpret that, how to structure
Okay.
the final deliverable. So,
Okay.
in that sense, you still remain this human in the loop, but
Mm-hmm.
really, artificial intelligence is going to um, harness a lot of the efficiency so that you don't do these lower order tasks, but you do something that is more higher value, like going to find new
Mm-hmm.
business and spending more time on sales and marketing
Mm-hmm.
and that sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing. That's going to keep the funnel warm for new clients.
So you're saying that no, it would not replace you. That's what I'm getting from your answer.
Yeah, I think
So
it's important to adapt.
okay, okay. You
Yeah.
use it as a tool. So what hmm, I'm just thinking like you're talking about how to, gather the data and how to interpret the data. So are you saying that AI cannot do those two things by itself? If someone, let's say someone just created, you know how they call it an AI agent?
Yeah.
So someone creates an AI agent, like you mentioned, an employee. Can the person not give the AI agent the instruction to go out and gather the data, one, and two, shuffle the data into orderly forms, and then three, interpret the data to be delivered to, let's say, a client or something? Can't they do that? Or is there more than that compared to what you do? Like there's more to it than just that. That's what you're
Yeah,
saying?
I think what you just mentioned is entirely possible, and believe it or
Okay.
not, we're in the process of building agents for specific service offerings that we
There you
provide to the
go. There
marketplace,
you
right? So
go.
agentic AI is the next step, the next frontier, and this is where the conversation lies today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I were to give you a mandate, say,
Mm-hmm.
um, these are the research objectives, we would like to expand our business into Europe, right?
Okay.
It starts by you asking the right questions. And that's the domain. That's essentially what prompting is. It's like you're asking the AI
Word.
specific questions. And
Word.
so if you haven't seen a deliverable, if you don't know what are the things to even look for when thinking about um, a market expansion, and
Mm-hmm.
then also looking at the specific feedback that the AI is giving you as a deliverable, and
Mm-hmm.
deciding whether or not this is a good quality output or not.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are kind of the aspects that I'm speaking to as far as training the AI to
Okay.
get to an appreciable point. Now, can you
Okay.
go out there and try it? Yeah, you can try it, and you can actually use AI to help you write an agent and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's kind of like putting the cart before the horse, because when I
Okay.
think about AI and how we're building agents, is we're training them on our processes. We're
Okay.
training them on what we've already done and proved to be successful. And they then take over what we used to do, as opposed to thinking of it the other way, where you're saying, I've never done this before, but I'm going to create an agent without any clear benchmarks of what it's supposed to do, how it's supposed to work, and that sort of detail. So I think
Right.
that domain understanding of what market research is, what the output should look like, how I should better the output, that's where a lot of people come fall short, basically. I
Right.
speak to a lot
Right.
of people as well who say, why do I need market research? Because it's an objection I get a lot, right? Why do I need market research? I can just throw this into ChatGPT. And then they show me the outputs for what they've done on ChatGPT. It's not market research level, so yeah, you're getting away with it, but it's really not
It's not in
useful
depth on
for.
anything like that.
Yeah, there's no depth, there's no depth in
That's
in
good.
uh,
That's
in
good. That's good.
in the final deliverable. So, it's disrupting in those ways, taking credit away from certain projects that would have otherwise be just easy wins. But I do think that when
Okay.
it comes to much more massive decisions that you have a couple millions, billions in play, you
Right.
need professionals to come in and help
You
you
need
out.
actual, yeah, persons to
Yeah.
oversee it. It's true though. That's a good point. That, like, as I tell people too, because I have my background in IT as well, so I know a little bit about it. So I tell people that there's no way on this earth humans will never be relevant. There's no way. As much
Yeah.
as the AI is growing, we adapt to it and become even better. There's no way. We'll
AI
always be relevant.
hallucinates. AI can come up with a bunch of because remember it's reading everything that's out
Hmm.
there publicly available. In some instances, proprietary information from
Of
organizations.
course.
And so the rule is garbage in, garbage out with data, in any kind of conversation. And so artificial intelligence sometimes breaches the gaps of information that it doesn't know through
Hmm.
hallucinations. And so it will hallucinate, they call it hallucination, where it will just provide you with some
Made
makeshift
up stuff.
information that's made up. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I did
Yeah.
not know
So
that.
yeah, it hallucinates a lot. So
Really?
especially in areas
Interesting.
where there's no data available publicly for it to ingest, or it hasn't been trained on the subject well enough, it misses those
Interesting.
nuances. So, you want to keep a human in the loop, to your point about,
Right.
humans will always be relevant. Um,
Always.
yeah. And
Huh.
there are certain companies that have come up with AI policies that
Hmm.
explain how they use AI to people.
Hmm.
And the reason for that is because there needs to be transparency, because it gets things wrong so much,
Hmm.
so it's important to keep that human in the loop who's going to check, like I was saying,
Heck yeah.
benchmark against what you've seen
Right.
in your work experience in the past.
Okay. That's a very good answer, man. Thank you for that. Okay. So the next question would be, how do you, because you mentioned some people might not know that they need market research. I'm not saying it verbatim the way you did, but just a I'm rephrasing what you said. I'm rephrasing what you said. So, how do you help clients identify the right target audience for their product or their services using market research? How do you do that?
Well, um there's a process that we follow.
Okay,
Again, to the point about process, right? So there's been doing this for a while. So
for
the first
sure.
thing the first thing to do is, really, it depends on what the stage of the business it is. So
Okay,
sometimes we're working
okay.
with a small entrepreneur who maybe hasn't sold product, and is trying to figure out whether or not people are interested in buying. That type of stuff
Mm-hmm.
usually is helpful. um I mean, the way we usually help with that is to provide a survey. um so for someone like that, we'll provide a survey, um, to help gauge willingness to pay, to help gauge attitudes, to help gauge sentiments about those products, to help gauge what
Oh,
people
okay.
are
That's
using
pretty good.
today, what people are using today,
Right.
it's sort of like direct or indirect competitors. And then through that, we'll be able to score that, there is potential for your product here amongst XYZ type of demographic, right? So
Right.
we've spoken to people, we've gathered the data, and then we've analyzed it to say, these are the things that we're seeing. I'm actually going to be presenting to a client in a few minutes that type
Mm-hmm.
of work, which was about identifying their ideal customer profile. And in this case, this client is a mid-size cybersecurity, home healthcare firm, and
Okay.
accounting, all meshed in one. So they have a couple of different service offerings, but all for one industry, which is the home healthcare industry. And so we did a similar exercise where we had to kind
Mm-hmm.
of dive into the weeds of who their current customers are, who's giving
Mm-hmm.
them more money, what's their customer lifetime value, and then distilled there who we think they should be positioned to target, based on who's going to give them the most money, who's going to be retained the longest, and who has the strongest need for their services. Accountants always doing taxes. We just got out of taxes. And so, help them refine it in that way. So it's a lot of, in this case, we're not doing surveys. We did a few surveys, but just industry experts to just get a gauge of whether or not we're packing up the right trees. But really, this is more like a secondary research, which we call like looking at data that already exists and not going out there to ask questions to create new data. It's already
Okay.
secondary because we already have access to it. So we do a lot of secondary data, whether it's using internal client information or something else. But yeah, I mean, for
Okay.
people out there who are trying to find their target audience, I would suggest, in this instance, if you haven't sold the product, I would suggest you just go into something like artificial intelligence and just prompt it on who your target audience is gonna be, that sort of thing, and get initial overview of what that looks like. You can just ask a prompt like, tell me the type of customers who will buy this product if I were to try and take it to the market.
I got you.
Give me detailed descriptions of their age, their gender, their preferences, where they hang out
The
online,
demographics. Okay.
demographic stuff. And then you also want to understand psychographic stuff about, what are their values, attitudes, and that sort of thing. And then, yeah,
Psychographics. Oh, okay.
psychographics.
I've
Yeah.
never
So
heard that term before. That's interesting.
yeah, because when
Interesting.
you're profiling your customers, you don't just look at how old they are. That's not the only thing that makes up great right today. So
Facts.
what are your beliefs? Where
Right.
do you hang out online? Are you more on LinkedIn or TikTok? Where should we find you if we want to sell you something? So this is the kind of
Right.
stuff that we'd have to look into when we're determining audiences.
So what if they don't have an audience and they want to run a survey? What would you suggest them running, like ads or something? Like survey ads? Or
If they're
what?
new,
What yeah, if they're new.
then the key would be to try to gauge interest. Usually for someone like that, we'll say speak to what we call family, friends, and family. I mean, family,
Okay.
friends, and fools. So um essentially it's like you said you have a sister who's a Capricorn. Go and ask
Mm-hmm.
her about a specific um uh, tool or solution or whatever it is that you have in mind. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
which if she meets the criteria, or you're trying to find out who would buy, ask her, ask your other siblings, ask your mom and dad, ask your cousins, people that you already have access to, right? Your colleagues
Mm-hmm.
at work.
What if they
Just
lie to me though?
no, they can't because they shouldn't, right?
Because they'll just say, yeah, it's a good product. Yeah, of course. And then
that,
it's
that that's
not.
actually that's actually a possibility. That's
Mm-hmm.
why in market research you want to think about um having a statistically significant response
Right.
rate
Right,
that
right, right.
eliminates certain fringe responses that are false. And also, even if you're asking strangers, because we do research at scale, so we ask
Mm-hmm.
strangers globally what's going on, and we find a lot of fraud from people who just want to take a survey, get 12,
Oh, I
$15,
see,
whatever
I
it is,
see,
or a
I
gift
see, I
card from
see.
Amazon. Then they just speed through, and like when we asked you 15 questions, which you're supposed to take at least 15 minutes, finish this, but you finished it in 5, answering all straight A's. you know, so
Most
people
likely,
do
yes,
that,
yes, yes, likely. Oh Lord, I see what you mean.
right?
I was
So
I,
that
I was about
happens
to
a lot.
ask you though, are there like survey companies that you could hire to do the survey for you? Or you
Yeah.
don't recommend that?
Yeah, I mean, you can hire. I mean, I offer that service myself, but you can
Oh,
hire
okay,
out.
okay. There you
So,
go.
we do a lot of primary market research, but yeah, we're
Okay.
partnered with some of the biggest global companies like Sind.
Okay.
That's like the biggest supplier of respondents to if
To
you have a new
surveys.
product.
Oh,
Yeah,
to new
so
products. Okay. Okay.
like if you have a new product,
Mm-hmm.
they amalgamate these different respondents, right? So if you
Interesting.
just go to them and say, hey, listen, I'm looking for people aged this range, earning this much, living in this place, all that
Right.
kind of targeting stuff. They can find those people for you. Yeah.
Right. Oh wow. So there's no wow, that's beautiful, bro. There's no limitation if someone is just getting started to try to get an idea of what the product or service is like. Because
No,
there
no.
are people that okay,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
said
There are people that might
respondents.
express. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the major limit would be just funding the project, because usually startups or entrepreneurs don't
Hmm.
have funding. They're ideation. They don't have the money yet. They're
Right.
pre-revenue, and so
Facts.
survey might be costly for them. And so that's why I was suggesting family, friends, and fools, because
Yes.
in that instance,
Yes.
you're tapping into your network and you're not spending any money. Whereas if you start to hire out
Facts.
a company like ourselves, we kind of run up to the
You
thousands.
have to charge you, yeah. It's not
Yeah,
free.
yeah,
So there's
yeah.
okay, there's a balance. You see, the exchange principle applies here as well. If you do family and friends, one, you don't have enough data to make I would say to make a reasonable decision. Plus,
Right,
there could be a little bit of bias in it, but you're doing it for free. If you
right.
do the paid version, you get a lot more of data, a lot less bias, but it will cost you money. So
It might cost you a couple $100, couple thousand, depending on how well.
yeah, yeah, okay. All right, that's a very good answer, brother. So, what is the most common mistake companies make when conducting market research, and how can those be avoided? How can those mistakes be
Interesting.
avoided?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing about market research is not just research for research's sake. You're
Okay.
doing research with a view to generate insights that can be actionable for you to make that decision. If you think back to the conversation we are having earlier on about checking out the weather and then figuring out what you're going to wear for the day, right?
Right.
Um, you're not just looking for data, but you're looking to do something out of it, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
I would say some people just do market research. Companies have this data sitting, but it's data for data's sake. So I think a lot of them don't move towards insight generation, and also don't move towards
Insight generation. I
actionable
like that.
recommendation. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you're moving to a point where you're using your market research.
Right. Right. So that's
There's
one of the
also a
most common
static thing that
mistakes.
others
They
does.
don't use the data.
Yeah, so one of the things that I find is that they'll say we commissioned a survey, right?
Mm-hmm.
We did market research.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some information here, but that report gathers dust sitting right there. On they don't even read it. Companies, you'll be surprised how much money they spend on market research. They don't even read the stuff. So, I mean, I think from an execution standpoint, as far as like what the objective of the research, I do think that not enough researchers
Mm-hmm.
provide insights, or companies who do internal research provide insights for their people to say, okay, this is the course of action we're going to take.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it just typically dies as okay, we've got the data now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas they need to really weave in data-driven decision making as a process, so that we can use this research to always go back to any decision we want to make,
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many things are moving in a business, like,
Mm-hmm.
they sometimes changing culture for people to say we always do research before we make a decision and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very difficult 10 to 10, for businesses, especially if they've been used to doing things a certain way. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's just what I think is the missed opportunity or the mistake.
Got you. So how would they avoid it? Like they should just read the data, basically.
Well, they should read my book, The Calculated Leader.
Oh, you do have a book?
I do. I'm writing a book. I don't know if it's
Fantastic. Please. Do you have a copy you could show on the screen?
I do, but I have to stand up. Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me grab
Bro, stand up is fine. You're fine.
it.
Let's see the book. That's beautiful.
All right. So
Guys,
this
you
is
can
my
see
project.
that. The calculated leader.
Yeah, The
Okay.
Calculated Leader.
I'm gonna buy the book, bro.
Appreciate it, man. So anyway,
That is amazing. Okay. I'm gonna check it out.
it's a book that really talks a bit about how you can essentially make more data-driven decisions, and it
Okay.
addresses that particular problem that I'm talking about right now in terms of how
Right.
can an organization move from just being a company that makes crystal ball type decisions or relies on the gut feeling of the leadership, and start to really ingrain this culture of data-driven decision making. So it's
Right.
available. Um, on my website. It's called my full name, tamsangandlovu.com. So I'm pretty sure you've got a way of linking that
I
stuff up.
got
So
you. I got you. I'll put
appreciate
it
if you
on.
could, yeah, hit me up on that and tell me what you think.
Yes. That is, hey, that's one of the reasons we're doing this interview, so people know you more and reach out. So I have a question too. Like what you said makes sense because I know that there are so many companies that don't have a marketing department. That's one. And then we have other companies that have a marketing department, but they don't incorporate market research. So my question would be, if someone has a marketing department, should they must they would you say like it's a must that they should have a market research as well, or can those two be one department? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question because it touches on the distinction between market research and marketing. A lot of people
Yes.
get it
Yes.
kind of confused. So
Okay.
market research is typically the antecedent of marketing. It comes before. So
Really?
yeah, yeah. A lot of marketers are out there marketing, but they don't really know their audience, and
That's a
maybe
very
they
good
push.
point, man.
Yeah, they just start marketing. Like if you wanted to sell something, and there was opportunity for you to go to a conference or whatever, um, you would rather go to a conference. Say there's one conference 3,000 people, another conference 50 people. Microsoft is hosting a big thing, and you want to go and attend the Microsoft thing. It's a, you know it's a good look. It's nice. It feels more curated. But however, if your target audience is in the room with 50, you have potential to speak to 50 people and get at least 10 yeses, right?
Well,
And which is more
absolutely.
revenue. So that's an example of how people spray and pray at the 3,000 people and hope that it sticks. Whereas with marketing,
That's so true,
it's
man.
supposed to be with
That is
marketing, it's
so
supposed to be
true.
very laser focused. It's supposed to be you're in the room with 50 and they're getting yeses all across the board. Because if you
That
speak
is
to
so
everyone,
true, man.
you speak to nobody. So I would say that, the distinction is that the marketing is guided by the market research. We talked about your
Hmm.
audiences and understanding who your audience is. That is a function of research.
Right.
And I found myself working with a lot of marketing agencies who want to understand either from a branding perspective or just from a marketing perspective. Hey man, how do we go about this strategy? Who should we target? What are some of the trends in the market that have you seen anybody else do some marketing in this way? What goes viral in this industry anyway? What kind of marketing is helpful? And they don't have a view to that typically if they're kind of working with a new client or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much the
That is
distinction. And
amazing
they
information.
definitely should do a lot of my work right now is focused on educating marketers the
Okay.
importance of market research beyond GPT prompts, um, and then letting them know how I can assist them, with market research work. So 100% recommend it. You'll find a lot of success because essentially when you're doing marketing, you want it to work.
That's
You
beautiful.
gotta have some foundational work done.
That's wow, bro. I'm be honest with you. I like that. I like that information because yes, most marketers do not do market research before marketing for their company.
No,
They
no.
just hope.
Yeah. I mean,
Interesting.
some of them are using research that they gathered from pre-pandemic, times or whatever the case may be, which is dated. I'm saying they use research. Personas change, consumer
Okay.
behaviors change. Things are very fluid, right? Like right now,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at health trends, people are focusing gut health is big right now. You
Mm-hmm.
know, things like that. That's like health focus to change after the pandemic, right? How people
Mm-hmm.
consume things, all that changed, and so people needed to marketers specifically needed to change the way they communicate with their audiences, what they
Right.
communicate about and stuff like that. So the best companies are the ones that have these internal R&D divisions, but for product development, but also, research that feeds the marketing teams. And
Right.
again, this is stuff I talk about in the book in terms of how do you move, because now you're thinking about putting data not just for marketing, but even for the sales guys. They need data, they need research,
Right.
right? Yeah, so that you can handle some objections when someone says, I don't want that. You should be able to tell them, well, you should buy this. And this is why we're also better than the competition. We offer this, they don't offer that. That's all a function of research, right? So you're
Mhm.
selling it to the sales team, you're selling it to the product team that's innovating on products. You don't want to sell it that. So you need to understand what consumers want. And so it's all research based. And so it's moving the entire organization into this mindset of where's the data, And that's the stuff that I think is valuable.
So we're talking about market research, not just to find customers that are interested or target audience, but we're also talking about market research that pertains to the competition, the competitors as well, what they're doing, and then go ahead.
Yeah, so like the competitive analysis is something that we do most of the time to understand the white space opportunity. By that we mean like where can we win? I mean,
Right.
right, if we're looking at the podcast field, we can say, all right, this person podcasts about nursing and etc. This person is just more fun and entertainment. This person is
Hmm.
more so like it's a Joe Rogan, it's a Joe Biden. These are two different audiences, right?
Hmm.
So um we look at competitors and we say, hey, listen, this audience is kind of captured by this. They are using this product or whatever. Maybe let's
Hmm.
come in and emphasize that we are different in this way and that way. And so, it's competition with the competitor analysis with the view of standing out and being different. So we do a lot of that work as well, especially for people who are building out software. Hey, this guy has
Right.
this feature. How about if you add this thing over here, it's going to make it more unique, and so people are
Hmm.
going to
Hmm.
gravitate towards you for that particular reason. And we look at everything really, how much the business is making, who's working there, how are they marketing, who's
Hmm.
selling, how are they selling, what's working for them. We might even interview their personnel. How do you do this, etc. So we get a lot of information about competitors and try to feed that to our clients so that they have a bit a trump card basically in their back pocket.
Right. Of course, and it's very like laser focused type of trump card. Okay, so I want to ask you this: how can you share like an insight, like I would say, case study where you use some unconventional research methods to like break through and help the client, increase their revenue or anything like that? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
do
yeah,
you want me to rephrase the question? Okay, yeah.
yeah,
I want to know like an example. Give me an example because I like what you're saying. What you're saying is facts.
yeah. I'll give you an example.
Please.
um, Let me try to think of something relatable. Well, we all
Mm-hmm.
use um conferencing tools nowadays, right? But this was not always the case, like Zoom
Okay.
and stuff like that. We use that now regularly, but this was not always the case. So in
Mm-hmm.
2020, when things kind of took a turn,
Mm-hmm.
if you remember, the company that was in that space was Skype, which I think just closed recently,
That's what.
last
Yes, I heard that.
so Skype was the number one. It's such a missed opportunity because they were doing video conferencing across the globe and it was
Oh
doing a bit of
yeah, big
mobile and
time
stuff
missed
like that.
opportunity. Yeah.
Right. So um when everything shut down during the pandemic, what it meant
Mm-hmm.
is that, people had to collaborate more remotely. Obviously, we know this now, but when
Mm-hmm.
it was happening in the moment, it was very unclear, how people could do this. And so some companies like Zoom and which we had never heard of, right? Started to pop up.
Mm-hmm.
And similarly other companies like Microsoft and stuff like that started build out their own solutions. However, since this was a new product, these
Mm-hmm.
guys from this web conferencing platform decided, well, we need to get information that can help us to reach these smaller entrepreneurs because we're already
Mm-hmm.
in the market with
Mm-hmm.
the big companies, but we're being kicked up and down
Right. Right.
by
Right.
companies like Slack and and something and some other competitors in the
Right.
in the small business segment, right? And so
Right.
they wanted to find out why is that? How can we? expand our market share too, so that our conferencing is more ubiquitous even amongst smaller people. And so,
Interesting.
um, that's the work that I was tasked to figure out. And so
Wow.
we did a competitor analysis,
Uh-huh.
nothing primary, just secondary. And because I'm a small business owner,
Hmm.
I related very well. And that's part of the reason I was able to get such a big contract with the big company like a Fortune
Hmm.
50.
Hmm.
Now they've grown to become a global company. But you know,
Hmm.
it was that work, and we had to figure out what were the differences. And so I had to do a lot of reliance on my own experience using these tools and why
Hmm.
I'm not using those tools.
Hmm.
Obviously, removing some of the bias there, and then getting into the software and just looking at how it works compared to the competitors. And so we found out that this big player was too pricey. First of
Hmm.
all,
Hmm.
his stuff was just too clunky. Like people just want something they can message each other quickly
Right,
without
right, right,
any problems, any hiccups.
right.
So those capabilities were missing in their platform. Whereas a Slack, people even use it. I'll Slack you, as opposed to I'll message you.
Hmm.
So you already can tell that it was lacking in that department where I have to log in for me to even um start to talk to you on such a platform. I mean, you have to log into Slack, but it's not as
Right.
clunky as other big platforms they were at the time. And so, yeah, that's kind of what we found out. The interface
Wow.
wasn't good and that sort of thing. And so, they went and changed it to suit smaller businesses. And yeah, they like I said, they were already successful, but they were not successful in this
Interesting.
particular vertical. So
So
that's what market
I know
research
you
can do.
have to run, but I want to ask if you can give me 10 more minutes. If not, it's okay. Because I
Wow.
have no, it's okay if you can't, but if you can, I would love that. It'll be great. Because
Yeah, I
you're
have that client I said I'm presenting to actually probably they're probably gonna be on a call very soon. So
okay, okay, okay.
unless let me just check if there's been any cancellation or
Okay,
change because
okay, I got you. I got you. I
I
got you,
heard
brother,
something
because
happening.
you are opening up my eyes to, man, I'll be honest with you. Did not I actually have a marketing agency, so it's possible that you and I can do some business later. But yeah, I've never really thought about market research the way you have broken it down right now. That's why I'm definitely serious about getting your book. I'm
Oh
definitely
yeah,
gonna get your
man.
book.
Definitely.
I'm
This
serious.
is
I'm serious. I'm not just saying that. So don't worry. In the next few days, you see that someone purchased it and it's great at Kudo. Um, but man, I am very impressed with the knowledge that you are dropping. And I just have a few more questions. That's why I said just 10 more minutes and
okay. I mean, go ahead
oh, okay.
and
I
ask
appreciate
for five
that.
minutes because I haven't heard back from people and I think they haven't joined the call. And besides, I
No,
owe
no,
you
you're
five
fine.
because I came in late. So let's go.
No, 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 no. It's fine. It's fine with me, bro. You're good. So my question, okay, one of my like I just have three more questions. One is, but I'm gonna ask you after you answer. One is you mentioned at the beginning how you do mergers, right? How does market research play into that? Yeah,
Um,
because the ones you've explained is not that. So I want to understand the other part of it.
So, I mean, I do market research across a couple of different, so think of it like as a generalist, right?
Okay,
Um, like a brain for rent type of guy. So I touch a lot of different things.
okay,
And I'm very versatile in how I do it. So some of it is like, consulting as well. So the experience that I got from working in Boston
hmm,
was with a market research firm, but a market research firm that focused on private equity, which is like and venture capital. So these are
absolutely.
people,
Hedge
they
funds
have a
and
lot
all
of
that.
they have a lot of
Beautiful.
money. They want to throw it around, but they really don't know whether or not they should invest in one direction or the other. And
Okay,
so they require an understanding of the market. I like to call it a 5,000 foot snapshot. This is what's going on in the space. This is what changes are happening. And this is the
beautiful.
tech that might come and disrupt what's going on there. And
Okay,
so when we think about private equity, venture capital, commercial diligence, um, that's the type of information that they'll need. And so that's what I meant by mergers and acquisitions work, because a merger and an acquisition more like, another company buys another, but before they buy this company, they want to understand the target company's industry. Is this a space we want to play in?
Okay.
Should we buy this? Are there competitors
That's
that are doing better? Is this company in a strong position? Um,
okay.
What's going on around this company? What are their customers saying? They do a lot of work before when you see the big headline, there's a lot of commercial diligence work, not only just that financial diligence work. The legal team has to come in and they all work around figuring out, uh, how to structure that acquisition.
Oh,
So
I see. I see. So they want to learn the market of the business they're trying to acquire or merge with.
investment. Yeah,
So and that would
exactly.
in okay, go ahead.
They're basically trying to understand the opportunity. What opportunity does this business present us with? You know,
And does it have to be specific or you generalize the industry itself when you're doing the market research on that? Do you generalize? Let's say, okay, go ahead.
well, I mean and I'm just being pinged that they're in, but the work of market research is needed, as you can imagine, across any business.
Okay,
And so it doesn't really have to be specific to an industry, but it is kind of like the approach is the same, the methodology is the
okay,
same, but it's usually obviously with some minor tweaks, but usually it's the same thing. And
okay, okay,
it can be across industries. And so myself, I've worked across at least 35 different industries, from guys saying we have equipment that tests the quality of meat, to some people in pharmaceuticals, to some people in telecoms, construction,
okay,
cyber. They all want the same thing, which is information. And so if it has to do with information, I'm probably likely going to be able to support.
okay, okay. I don't want to keep you because I know you got to go. But yeah, guys, boom. That there you have it, Thami the man. I appreciate your time. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for coming on our pod. Hopefully in the near future. First of all, we're probably going to do business together, and near future we're going to invite you back. But guys, I'm going to put in the link, where to buy his book. And Thami, where can they find you? What's your website?
Right. So my website is my full name. So, it's very difficult in this part of the
Don't
world.
okay, I'll put it. Send it over to me and I'll
Yeah,
put it
yeah,
on
yeah.
the video.
I'll send it to you. It's
Yeah,
Thami Ndlovu. If you ever watched the
I
movie
got
The
you.
Black Panther, that's the language that they're speaking over there. It's a lot of clicks, very rough on the tongue for some of the people in the audience. So
Okay.
link it there. It's Tamsang. Yeah,
And
thank you for having
before
me.
you go, I want you to tell our audience just give them one advice you think that could be beneficial for them in their business right now in regards to market research or anything you want to say. It doesn't have to be market research. And then that's it.
In business, just be more specific. Like I said earlier on in the conversation, if you speak to everybody, you speak to no one, be very specific. Don't try to think that you're leaving money on the table when um, discussing potential business opportunities. So, for example, if you're starting a business, be specific. Just be specific. Don't try to, speak to all nurses, for example, right?
Okay.
Speak to
Okay.
nurses that deal with the particular, because what you want to do is you want people to self-identify with the problem. So if you speak more generally, people are not going to understand what you're talking about.
Right.
But if you
Right.
say, I can help you understand what your business is all about or what the market is all about, it's a specific thing that someone can be like, oh, I need that.
Right.
Whereas if you're just coming in saying you do everything and anything, people are not going to identify with that. So I would say just be laser focused, pay attention. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
My man. Thank you so much, Thami, and I'll see you next time. Okay. You can go ahead and log off. Thank you
Yes,
so
brother. Thank you.
much.
All right.
But guys, yep, that is our man, Thami. He's a market research expert. So we invite this kind of guests to break down some nuggets for you. Right now he has another meeting, so he has to go. And then he told me earlier, so I just wanted to, squeeze out a little bit more, value from him before he goes. And we appreciate his time. But yeah, if you have any comments, If you have any questions, just put them below. I am going to make sure we put in his website link and how you can find him on social media, etc. Those kind of beautiful things. But yeah, comment, like, share. My name is Great AKUDO, and this is the AKUDO Experience. Until next time, feel free to follow us, subscribe, join our newsletter, and yeah, we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.
Lean on you.